This week's pick of the week is a 2009 Toyota Fortuner 4-litre V6 automatic 4x4 at WeBuyCars. Every week I feature my pick of the week, a second-hand car that I would consider if I was in the market. Now, a big disclaimer, I'm no mechanic or expert, I'm not sponsored by WeBuyCars, I just love buying second-hand cars and I've bought 3 from them, including this D4D Fortuner. It's super important that before you buy a car, you go and inspect it properly or even take a mechanic with you and do a proper test drive. If you disagree with anything that I say in this video, please comment below so that the viewers can learn. So for this week's pick of the week, we're looking at this 2009 Toyota Fortuner. It's a 4-litre V6 automatic 4x4 at WeBuyCars. It's got 303,000 kilometers on it. Now, the reason I picked this car is the Fortuners are known for reliability, and this 4-litre V6, even though it's not economical at all, is probably the most reliable Toyota engine that they ever made. And mated to this automatic, it'll probably last forever if you maintain it. Now, it's much safer than buying a diesel like I did. I usually look for weird things like modified or replacements or body panels that doesn't line up properly. Now, this looks pretty clean. If you look at the inside as well, the seats still look fine. The dash doesn't look cracked or broken. The steering wheel is a bit worn, but for 300,000 kilometers, that's totally fair. You don't see any big tears or foam sticking out of the seats. The mats looks in fair condition considering the mileage. There's a little bit of wear on the gear knob leather, but that's to be expected. The engine, it looks pretty clean. There's no modifications or loose wires or weird air filters. One thing that does concern me a bit is this watermarks on the radiator. So if you go and inspect this car, I would look at the cooling system very closely because it looked like it leaked at some point and stained the radiator. But if the car doesn't overheat, that's not a big issue. Inside the boot as well doesn't look like they transported cans of oil or livestock or anything. Let's look at the bumpers. Yeah, there's a bit of a crack down there. Bumpers look as though it's had some damage there. But, I mean, if the car is reliable, that's a minor issue. It doesn't have a service record. If we quickly scan the summary of roadworthy relevant issues, there's ABS warning light, tailgate lens are moist, steering vibrates, that's a bit of an issue. Hooter doesn't work, fog light missing, and a cracked windscreen. Now, this sounds bad, but let's have a look at the report itself. Now, if you look at the interior, obviously, if you look at a Dekra report, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to go and inspect it yourself. But the interior, it's as expected, good or very good, apart from the poor, which is that dashboard warning light. So that's probably the ABS light that's on. Under exterior, again, as expected, very good. The 2 poor things are glass panels, so that's obviously the cracked windscreen. And then hang-on grills, parts and bumpers. You could see the bumper has some damages, but a bumper, you could get that at a scrapyard, or you could just leave it like that, or even fit a replacement bumper if you're going off-road. The most important thing for me is the engine, gearbox and drivetrain. That's all very good, apart from noise levels in the transmission as expected, axles as expected, gearbox. So just have a listen. If it starts well, it idles smoothly, there's no ticking weird noises, and it shifts well and there's no grinding noises, then it's probably not a big risk. Vehicle undercarriage, very good or as expected. For 300,000 Ks, you're going to expect some minor scratches, etc. The tires looks like they're pretty new. It's all Dunlop Grand Treks. That's the same as my car, all 6mm, so that's a good sign. There is one code for the airbag. Maybe you could just clear the fault and it's gone, but it could be an issue. It shouldn't be too difficult, but you can drive the car like that. Just know that the airbag might not deploy. So that's something to be aware of. So the hooter, I'm not too worried about that. You can fit the aftermarket switch on the dash if you're not too worried. Otherwise, a replacement at Toyota might cost you up to 10 grand, or you could get a replacement. But often it's just cleaning the contacts on the clock spring. Fog light missing. I've been driving our Jimny with a missing fog light for 10 years, so it's not something that will worry me. Cracked windscreen, that's $1,500 replaced with a proper shatterproof glass. Airbag warning light, like I said, that might have to be checked out. Both taillight lenses are moist, get replacements. You can get aftermarket ones for cheap, or just go to a scrapyard. There should be lots of them. Steering wheel vibrates. So if we look at red flags, this last one, the steering that vibrates, is probably the only red flag here. It could be a tire that needs balancing. It maybe got a big bump, or it could be alignment that's out. But there could be bigger issues like steering rack ends. So if it tracks through, it drives straight. If you leave the steering wheel and it doesn't vibrate overly much, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. But obviously, if it goes off the road when you let go of the steering wheel, I would stay clear of this one. The coolant leak, as I said earlier, that marks on the radiator, that's just something to be aware of. I would drive this car for at least 15 to 20 minutes to see that temperature gauge stays right there, and look for other signs of leaking cooling system. Yeah, another thing that you must just be aware of, these are very heavy on fuel. Think of 5 to 6 kilometers per liter, and if you tow down to 4 kilometers per liter. But at this price, this thing will probably last forever. So that's just something that you have to be aware of. It is going to be very heavy on juice. So who is this car for? Well, if you're looking for a cheap overlanding vehicle or a holiday car, or even just a weekend toy to play around with on 4x4 tracks, this is perfect. You're probably not going to have huge bills. Obviously, there's stuff with high mileage vehicles that goes over time, but all of it can be fixed. And major issues that will cost the same price as the car is very rare. It's not like a Range Rover Sport or a Jeep even, with very expensive imported parts. This is probably one of the cheapest, most reliable 4x4s that you can get, and you can take it to Namibia tomorrow once you've checked everything over. So this is definitely a contender, and I was actually tempted, but the fuel bill, I've had a Prado before, and I just love the fuel consumption of the diesel. Yeah, because the thing with the fuel bill is every time you fill up, you feel the pain, even though it's smaller than the initial cost. So psychologically, for me, the diesel is just better. Anyways, thank you for joining, and let me know if this was helpful. If you disagree with anything, let me know. And if you own a V6 Fortuner, let me know how bad that fuel bill really is. At 123,000 Rand, what else can you buy? I mean, that's barely a deposit on a new Fortuner, or maybe 6 months worth of payments. I think for this money, this could be a great buy, provided that it's clean and it hasn't been in an accident, and that shaking or vibration on the steering is not a big issue. That's just my thoughts. Comment below if you disagree, and thank you for watching. See you next week.